Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me in last part of multi-page application series. Here in this part we will dockerize our created multi-page application. Hope you guys remember that in our first part we created an MVC application from an empty .NET Core project. Later in the second part, we added our first Angular application into that MVC website, and we created Angular components into web components and used them as a header in our application. In part 3 of this series, we added our second Angular application in our MVC website, and then we use that application as Angular Spa in our MVC website. And also the web components that we created in our first application, we use those components in our second application as a header as well. In this last part, as promised, I will dockerize this application and I will deploy it in Docker. uh, Here are the tools and review of the architecture of the Docker. We will need a Docker desktop version on our computer. If you have not installed that, I am putting this link in description as well. You should download this Docker desktop version and install it on your computer before practicing this on your computer. When we look into the Docker architecture, uh, it has very simple architecture, a very basic overview that I'm going to give you here. You can just think of Docker registry as a collection of all the Docker images, where you can download any of your image in your host computer. Once you download your image from the registry in your host computer, then you can create as many containers as you want from that image. In programming terms, I can say that you can think of images as a C# classes, and you can create instances and instances from multiple instances from those classes, and those instances you can consider as containers. Similarly, in Docker, from each once you have the image on your local host on your host computer, you can create as many containers as you want. Once we look into the commands, here is a list of commands, a short list of commands that I am sharing with you. Uh, Docker version, Docker start, stop, and restart are some of the commands that we use on daily basis. Other than that, Docker images is a command that will list all the images on your local host. Similarly, Docker RM and RMI are used to remove the stopped containers or remove the images from your local storage. Similarly, Docker PS is one of the command that we use quite regularly that will list all the running containers on your computer. And the most important one is at the bottom, that is Docker compose. That is the one command that we are going to use in over this video. So without further delay, let's jump into the code. Okay, let's open the Visual Studio and clone the repository. I am using Visual Studio 2022. Here I need to clone the repository from the GitHub. So here is the multi-page app repository. I need to save it in rewrite in my YouTube folder, wherein I have a folder with the part 4. I just choose the path and continue in the background. Here we are in the Visual Studio. We need to open the solution. mode we don't need to open in folder mode because we are in Visual Studio, we are not in Visual Studio Code. Okay, the project has been opened. Okay, let's try to build it. We need to restore npm packages before running the project. So in order to do that, I need to open the command prompt. So I'm just right clicking it and open command line, default command line. Here I am in the command prompt. I need to go into Angular apps. Here in the Angular apps, I need to run the command npm install. Okay, once the npm packages has been restored, we need to run both of the application on their respective ports before running the project and see it is on the same stage where we left in our last part. So here we need to run the command ngserve. This will build our first Angular app, which is in Angular apps folder, the root application. Okay, our first Angular application is running on the port 4200 as per standards. Let's open our another terminal. Here we need to run the command ngserve, but this is for the project name child app, and it must be on the port 4201. Okay, the second child app is also running on port 4201. Let's build our project and run. Okay, we are having a ambiguous call for the map. In order to fix this, we would need here a new parameter, path string. So yeah, the bug error has been resolved. Let's run our application. Okay, our application has been run on the port 5000. Our first SPA is running. As we can see, our banner is here. Let's check our second SPA if it is also running. Angular app is loading. So yes, our second SPA is also running. Our sign up and sign in forms are running. So our application is at the same point where we left in our last part. So let's move forward with dockerizing this application. Okay, in order to dockerize this application, one thing you need to understand that we cannot use multiple ports for running these both applications. So in order to dockerize this application, we need Angular apps to be served from the www root folder that we created in our first video for serving the static content. So what I would be doing here, I would publish both of Angular apps into www root folder in their respective folders, like parent app for the root application and child app for the child application. Once both of the application are published in the www root folder, I will serve both of the application from this folder. Once both of the applications will be serving from this folder, then we will dockerize the complete Angular complete application into Docker. Then we deploy complete application into the Docker along with the over Angular application. So let's do it so that we can understand how we are going to achieve this. So first of all, we need to make changes in AngularJSON where we are basically publishing our application. So to do that, I need to make changes in the build section. So here is the build section, and here this is the output path. I need to change this output path. As you guys can see that this file is residing here. I need to go one level up and then into the www root, and here I would create a folder for the child app, parent app, where I will publish this root application, and then similarly I will create a child app folder for the child application which is in the project folder. So let's set up the path here. I need to go one level up, then into the www root folder. Here in the root folder, I would need let's say root application, or let me say parent application or parent app. Okay, so what I did, what I change here is I just changed the build path for the root Angular application. Similarly, I would need to change the root path for the child application as well. So here this is our child app heading, and here it's a build path is a distribution slash child app. So I need a child app, but here I would need a parent level. Then there is www root folder, and in that root folder I would need a child app. Okay, and so we have made this change. Next, I have to close both of these terminals because I don't need them anymore. What I would need to do, I would build both of the application, and so open our default terminal. Here in the Angular apps root folder, I would need ng build dash prod. That is optional. You can use it or you can drop it. The prod because as you can see the message, it is by default using production, so you don't need to mention dash prod. So here what we are doing, we are publishing over Angular app. In order to publish that, we normally use ng build dash dash production. I need a production ready binaries of this application. Okay, here we can see parent app folder has been created and a published Angular app has been created here. Next, I would need a ng build prod again for the project named child app. We need to run the same command for both of our Angular application. First, in I run for the root level application and I published it in the parent app folder in www root. And in our second command, I published it our child app, and it would be published in child app folder in same www root folder. Okay, we can see that our child app also has been published and parent app also has been published. Both of the application has been published. Okay, next what we need to make some changes in respective areas where over ports has been mentioned where we were accessing our Angular applications. So for the root level applications, we were accessing it from this area. I am commenting this out, this area, because we don't need this anymore. But we will need we will need to add some script tag for our parent app here. So I'm adding a script, and this script would be ASP source include would be equal to tilde sign slash parent app slash. So let's go into the parent app and see what we have here. So here we have a main, polyfills, runtime, and style. So we need to add their links here. So first I'm going with the runtime. Runtime dot static dot js, and its type should be module. Okay, first script has been added. Similarly, I am copying it for a couple of times. We would need a runtime, then we need polyfills, poly fills dot static dot js. Thirdly, we would need main dot static dot js. Lastly, we would need css. Definitely it is not module. We don't need a type here. We would need styles styles dot static dot css. And this section is no more needed here. So yes, our configuration for the parent app is done. Next, we would need to set up the configuration for the child app. Before doing that, I want to run the application to see if our parent app can be accessible properly. Our child app should not be running because we have closed the terminals of both Angular apps. Okay, we can see that our parent app is running, but our second Angular app must not be running because it is giving error because none of our port is accessible. Over port 4200 and 4201 both the terminal has been closed. That's why this is not accessible. Okay, let's configure our second Angular application. You remember that for the configuration of second Angular application, we used program.cs and we use this spa extension. Here is the path for the spa extension. Because we are in the development mode, so we don't need this anymore. And here in the development mode, we would need this. So let's let's remove everything and let's add this section only. And for the after the current directory we would need www root, and in the www root we would need child child app path. Okay, I think yes, that's it. Let's build our application. Okay, we don't have any error. Let's run our application. Okay, our application is running. So let's check our second application. Okay, yes, our second application is also running in the development mode. Okay, you can see that now both of the apps are serving from the www root folder that is right here in from these folders, parent app and child app. Both of these folders are serving our application. So next, in order to enable the Docker, I want you to follow me here in go into the tools and in options. First, you need to set some configuration of the Visual Studio. Here in the options, uh, you need to search Docker. Here in the Docker Compose, please make sure that you have these configuration. The first element should be false. Second should never should be selected. Third should be true, and in the last you should be selected. You should select false for the last option. Then press OK. Once you are done with this, first let's also make sure our container is running. Let's open the CMD. Here we would need a command docker ps. Okay, our Docker container is not running. So let me run the Docker desktop. This application must be run before Dockerizing our application. Okay, it's updating. Okay, after installation, once you start the Docker, you will receive the message Docker is starting. Okay, here we are in our Docker desktop. We need to run our Docker PS, and we see none of the images is running, none of the container is running. If I run the command docker images, here it will list all the images that we already have locally. So, okay, uh, in order to enable our application for the Docker, right click on the project, select add, and here you need to select container orchestrator support. So you need to select, you will have a couple of options. You will have a Docker support and container orchestration support. You need to select the container orchestrator support. Once you select this, you will receive this. Here you need to select Docker Compose. Here I will select Linux as operating system for the container. Once you add this, you will have some files added in your project, including Docker file. Here is your Docker file, a main Docker file that is, and you will have a couple of other files that is Docker compose.yaml and Docker compose.override file. So let's review this in the basic Docker file. What we are doing here, first we are getting the base for ASP.NET 6. We are getting the source code from our project. Once we got the source code, then we actually publishing it, and finally we are setting the entry point for the DLL. So what we need to change, we will need to change the port that we are going to access from the Docker. So here I am going to give a port 9999. That would be the port for my application while accessing it from the Docker. So after once I have changed this port, we need to open over terminal again here at the YAML file. So here we would need to open containing folder. Here at the containing folder, you need to open cmd. Here I am in the command prompt. Here you would need to remember this command that I wrote at the bottom, that is docker -compose -f docker compose.yaml -f docker compose.override up -d. So that's the command for dockerizing the application. So bear with me, it would take some time. In the meanwhile, let's check over images. We have not any updated images yet. Okay, our image has been created. So let's see. Yes, we have our new image, latest, and our container arts also has been created because it's telling us that it is in use. So let's go into the container. Yes, we have our multi-page app container which is running. So let's open up the browser and let's go to the localhost port of 9999. So yes, our application is running from the Docker. Yeah, yes, we done it. Okay, thank you for your time. In our coming up series, I am going to start a couple of series including microservices and a series on Flutter Web. So stay tuned. Thank you.